Okay, so welcome to the hero's journey, stepping into greatness. Now, I'm really excited about this session because I think the start of a new year, and we're in 2024 now, is always a really, really good time where everybody starts thinking about the year ahead and fresh starts, and the person, particularly more so than any other time of year, they start thinking about the type of person that they want to be. So a lot of the New Year's resolutions are kind of, they could be about behavior. So I want to, do more of this. I want to do more of that. I want to stop doing X, Y, Z. And really, we could be talking about behavior. We could be talking about our identity. We could be talking about our skills and capabilities. I want to learn the drums or something else. But it tends to be these resolutions every year that are the kind of doing, the being. I want to be the sort of person who, and every year there's this kind of huge kind of emphasis on on changing your behaviors, and then very slowly people start to realize that it's unsustainable, or that there's blocks there that are preventing you from being the sort of person and doing the sort of things that that sort of person would do, and very slowly kind of fall back into the old ways of doing things. Not always, but it's often something that we're just sort of so used to now that people join the gym and then within a month and they're not going anymore. And so for me, the biggest frustration is watching people do this over and over and over again, because they don't understand that there is ultimately that subconscious block that is preventing you from changing. And it's not because that block obviously wants to hurt you, harm you, or keep you playing small. It's there because of the things that you've learned are important in life. It's because it's there to keep you safe. It's there to keep you doing the things that it thinks are in your best interests. And for whatever reason, those new things that you want to do seem to threaten or take away from the ways that you've been perhaps meeting your needs already. So I wanted to take a step back and say, well, actually, you know what? We are all completely magnificent. And so what is the bit that every year we try to step into that magnificence yet again and fall short of it? Why is that? Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's overcome it. Let's give you some techniques, because I know all of you understand about the subconscious and that you have to work on the subconscious to align with what you want. But we're not just talking about goals here. So this is bigger than goals. This is about you being the magnificent version of yourself that you want to be. Finally, once and for all, no more playing small, being able to go for the things that you want to do and have, and be the sort of person that you know that you are, but keep holding yourself back from being. So time and time again, those things that you feel called towards, those things that you feel that you want to do, that you feel are right for you, whether that's goals or just behaviors, or being the type of person you want to be. Once and for all, let's look at the magnificence of you and find a way for you to be able to step into that and be all of that, and without fear. And that's what we're here to do today. Now, as I was preparing for this session, I asked my 5-year-old for some advice. So I said, like, what should be the essence of this session? And you can always guarantee that Rocky will give me some great advice. So he wrote a word on a piece of paper and holded it up. And he said, there you go, there's my advice. And it said uplifting. And I thought, well, that's perfect. So you have to kind of interpret his advice. He doesn't just give it to you, you have to interpret it. And I thought, well, that's perfect, because that's really what I want this session to be. I want it to be uplifting. I want it to be inspiring. It may be something that you have to listen to several times. You know that there will be inner work to continue after today, but I'm hoping that I will show you which inner work you need to continue and at least get you a big leap forward on this road to being the magnificent version of you, and to simplify how to do that. All right. So the reason I've called it the hero's journey is because you essentially are the hero of your own story. And I'm going to show you a video that explains what the hero's journey is so that you can get a sense of how to look at your life in a slightly different way than perhaps that you have previously. So here's the hero's journey, and it will be all explained to you in a very succinct way. Here we go. Let me know if you can't hear it for any reason. Everybody hear it? Yeah, thank you.
What do Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo all have in common with the heroes of ancient myths? What if I told you they are all variants of the same hero? Do you believe that? Joseph Campbell did. He studied myths from all over the world and published a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, retelling dozens of stories and explaining how each represents the monomyth, or hero's journey. So, what is the hero's journey? Think of it as a cycle. The journey begins and ends in the hero's ordinary world, but the quest passes through an unfamiliar, special world. Along the way, there are some key events. Think about your favorite book or movie. Does it follow this pattern? Status quo, that's where we start. 1 o'clock, call to adventure. The hero receives a mysterious message, an invitation, a challenge. 2 o'clock, assistance. The hero needs some help, probably from someone older, wiser. 3 o'clock, departure. The hero crosses the threshold from his normal, safe home and enters the special world and adventure. We're not in Kansas anymore. 4 o'clock, trials. Being a hero is hard work. Our hero solves a riddle, slays a monster, escapes from a trap. 5 o'clock, approach. It's time to face the biggest ordeal, the hero's worst fear. 6 o'clock, crisis. This is the hero's darkest hour. He faces death and possibly even dies, only to be reborn. 7 o'clock, treasure. As a result, the hero claims some treasure, special recognition, or power. 8 o'clock, result. This can vary between stories. Do the monsters bow down before the hero, or do they chase him as he flees from the special world? 9 o'clock, return. After all that adventure, the hero returns to his ordinary world. 10 o'clock, new life. This quest has changed the hero. He has outgrown his old life. 11 o'clock, resolution. All the tangled plot lines get straightened out. 12 o'clock, status quo, but upgraded to a new level. Nothing is quite the same once you're a hero. Many popular books and movies follow this ancient formula pretty closely, but let's see how well The Hunger Games fits the hero's journey template. When does Katniss Everdeen hear a call to adventure that gets the story moving? When her sister's name is called from the lottery. How about assistance? Is anyone going to help her on her adventure? Hey, Mitch. What about departure? Does she leave her ordinary world? She gets on a train to the capital. Okay, so you get the idea. What do you have in common with Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo? Well, you're human, just like them. The hero's journey myth exists in all human cultures and keeps getting updated because we humans reflect on our world through symbolic stories of our own lives. You leave your comfort zone, have an experience that transforms you, and then you recover and do it again. You don't literally slay dragons or fight Voldemort, but you face problems just as scary. Joseph Campbell said, "In the cave you fear to enter lies the treasure you seek." What is the symbolic cave you fear to enter? Auditions for the school play? Baseball tryouts? love? Watch for this formula in books, movies, and TV shows you come across. You will certainly see it again, but also be sensitive to it in your own life. Listen for your call to adventure. Accept the challenge. Conquer your fear and claim the treasure you seek. And then do it all over again.
Bloody love that.
Me too, me too. So thinking about the hero's journey as let's say as a life happens for you, not to you. Maybe you've heard that before. So thinking about your life as this hero's journey, it means you're supposed to have those trials and tribulations. It's not supposed to be the story of the happy elf where everything was happy and everything stayed happy and then he died happy. It is supposed to be a journey of experience. It is supposed to be a trial, a challenge. You are supposed to overcome. You are supposed to be called to adventure. Adventure is the fun bit. We have a phrase in our house. It was like, if somebody says scary, it's like, but was it fun scary? Was it challenging? Was it exciting? Because scary can be fun if you look at it in the right way. If you're looking at it as part of the hero's journey, then there's an outcome at the end where you're better off because of what you've been through. And if the last few years have kind of taught me anything, it's really that saying about there always being a happy ending, therefore if you're not happy it's not the end, is something that I've really sort of held very, very close to my heart over these years. And I thoroughly agree that if you have that mindset and that outlook on life, then everything becomes part of this great story that you're living. So sometimes if you're having a particularly hard time, then it's kind of, okay, well, this is going to be just a killer of a chapter, isn't it? This is going to be when this resolves itself, and you've yet to experience how you're going to resolve it, but how wonderful that you are going to resolve it. There is no choice, and that's going to make a wonderful chapter in your memoir. So lots of ways that you can cope with the challenges of life so that they're a lot more meaningful to you and become part of some greater story. Now, if we're being called to adventure, so the hero's journey, and you'll see it now, if you haven't been aware of it before, you'll now see it in every film, every TV show, the same thing happens. And often there's this really interesting part of the hero's journey that is sometimes mentioned, is sometimes not mentioned, and that's the refusal of the call. So quite often you'll see in movies that the person's ordinary life, and they're being called to adventure, but they refuse to go. Like they turn it down. So for example, I think in The Matrix, where Neo at the very beginning is running from the men in suits before he's even figured out what's going on, and the Morpheus tells him jump, and he's like, hell no, I'm not going to jump, that's, I'm on a building or whatever. So he refuses. He's like, no, I'm not gonna respond. I'm gonna stay in my world. And so the theory is that you're being called to adventure all the time, but you just may not have noticed, or you're refusing it. And so people ask me, okay, then what is my purpose? What is my great adventure that I'm supposed to go on? What is my big purpose in life? And people get so hung up on, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? What is this great story of mine supposed to look like? What am I supposed to do in the world? What if I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing? And that can act as a bit of a kind of freeze mode for you, because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. Well, Joseph Campbell, who is the creator of or the discoverer, if you like, of the hero's journey, he says that it is so utterly simple, and that you don't need to know what your purpose is. Ultimately, you do not need. The character in every story that you watch has no idea what purpose they are there to serve. They have no idea what their hero's journey is. They're in it. But what they do know is what they feel inside at the moment that the call is being given to them. And it's basically, he says, it's rapture or bliss. So he said, you only ever need to know what your bliss is, what your rapture is, and follow it. Now, there's a really great example of this in Walter Mitty. I don't know if anybody, have you seen the Walter Mitty movie? If you haven't watched it, it's just delightful. And ultimately, this guy he works for Life magazine. He's the photo setter. So he's, takes the negatives and, from photos, and he makes the covers and he makes the photos look beautiful, and he loves it. And he's the best at what he does, but he is very scared to live, a big life. He doesn't, scared to ask out the woman of his dreams. He doesn't adventure outside of his little office. And at one point, the final version, the magazine's shutting down, and there's the final version of the magazine needs to go out, and Sean Penn, who plays this crazy amazing photographer, has sent him the last negative for the final cover of this magazine. It's a big deal, and he can't find the negative. And this guy is an adventurer. He's off, and he's Sean is off, in the world somewhere unobtainable, and because he works with the woman of his dreams, she says, why don't you go and find him? Why don't you go and ask him where the negative is? And he's like, well, because I think he's in Greenland. And she's like, okay, go there then. Now he's like, oh, I can't go to Greenland. And of course, that's the moment. That's where he's called to adventure. Like, I have the option, to go to Greenland. Now, it's not that he wants to go to Greenland, remember. He doesn't want to go to Greenland. He wants to do his job. That's his passion. His bliss is his job. But to do his job properly, he can't let Sean down. He has to answer the call to adventure because of what he loves. Does that make sense? So all you have to know is your why, the why in your life that gives you bliss. Whether it's the essence of your job, whether it's the look on someone's face when, you've done something to light them up, whether it's in your children, or what is your bliss. That is all that you need to know, the why you do anything, what you care about, because you're being called to adventure all the time, either because you need to do something for the things that you care about, or because it feels good to do it. So if you follow your bliss, you inevitably will be following your call to adventure at some point. And Joseph Campbell says, you just don't need to worry about it. There is a path laid out for the hero. So the path is there. And if you follow your bliss, you'll be back on it. Simple as that. And then you don't need to know what story you're part of, what changes you're going to make to the world. You just need to follow your bliss, and you will be on the path. The doors will open for you. The people will appear to help you, and it will start to flow again. Okay. But let's think about it, because if it was just as simple as following your bliss, we'd already be there. So think about everything you've been conditioned not to do. Yes, if you're sitting there and you have work in front of you that is boring the crap out of you, and you have a little call in the back of your mind, like, I'd really rather be doing this. Think about all the things that come up that say, well, you can't do that because you have to do this. And you're covered in shoulds and have tos. Everybody with me? I should do this. I need to do this. This is important. I have to care about this and this and the other. We don't trust that if we did anything like what we want to do, things would work out for us. Maybe we've had experiences of following our bliss. What's is it the story about the squirrels, playing all summer and then not having any nuts in winter? We have been conditioned really well to believe that following our bliss is frivolous, that it won't build anything, it won't create anything, it won't do us any good, we'll end up losing everything. the only way to have a good life is to do the shoulds and the musts and the necessary and the painful and the hard work and deserve it by working really, really hard. Am I right? Anyone else resonating with this? And yet, we are told by Joseph Campbell and every film we ever watch that it will work out if you follow your bliss. Yes, there'll be challenges, of course, but those challenges are ones that you care about. Okay, so those of you that are worried that you don't know what your purpose is, you do not need to worry about it. That is not your domain to worry about. What you need to know and identify is what you care about and what you love. And the opportunities and the call to adventure will come to you if it hasn't already. And it will come multiple times until you answer it. Okay, so it's not a one and done. Now, I'm going to show you another video in the theme of uplifting. I'm going to show you another video here, which is one of my absolute favorites that I think has some wonderful, wonderful lessons in it that I think he will be able to share with you more succinctly than I could perhaps do for you. So everybody hopefully is familiar with Jim Carrey. It's 6 minutes long. It's a portion of his commencement address at a graduation kind of ceremony. And it's truly, truly beautiful.
Because life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. How do I know this? I don't, but I'm making sound, and that's the important thing. That's what I'm here to do. Sometimes I think that's the only thing that's important, really, you know? It's just letting each other know we're here. Reminding each other that we're part of a larger self. I used to think Jim Carrey is all that I was. Just a flickering light, a dancing shadow, the great nothing masquerading as something you can name. Seeking shelter in caves and foxholes dug out hastily, an archer searching for his target in the mirror, wounded only by my own arrows, begging to be enslaved, pleading for my chains, blinded by longing and tripping over paradise. Now, fear is going to be a player in your life, but you get to decide how much. You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, and the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. Please. And if it doesn't happen for you right away, it's only because the universe is so busy fulfilling my order. Party size! My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. As someone who's done what you're about to go and do, I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Because everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart. dream up a good life. I had a substitute teacher from Ireland in the 2nd grade that told my class during morning prayer that when she wants something, anything at all, she prays for it and promises something in return, and she always gets what she wants. Well, I'm sitting at the back of the classroom, thinking, wow, my family can't afford a bike, So I went home and I prayed for one. And I promised I would recite the rosary every night in exchange. Broke that promise. But 2 weeks later, I got home from school to find a brand new Mustang bike with a banana seat and Easy Rider handlebars. Yeah. From fool to cool. My family informed me that I had won the bike in a raffle that a friend of mine had entered my name in without my knowledge whatsoever. So that type of thing has been happening to me ever since. As far as I can tell, it's just about letting the universe know what you want and working toward it while letting go of how it comes to pass. Your job is not to figure out how it's going to happen for you, but to open the door in your head. And when the door opens in real life, just walk through it. And don't worry if you miss your cue, because there's always doors opening. They keep opening. And when I say life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, I really don't know if that's true. I'm just making a conscious choice to perceive challenges as something beneficial so that I can deal with them in the most productive way. You'll come up with your own style. That's part of the fun. Oh, and why not take a chance on faith as well? Take a chance on faith. Not religion, but faith. Not hope, but faith. I don't believe in hope. Hope is a beggar. Hope walks through the fire, and faith leaps over it. You are ready and able to do beautiful things in this world. And after you walk through those doors today, you will only ever have two choices: love or fear. Choose love, and don't ever let fear turn you against your playful heart. Thank you so much. Thank you, Udell. I'm so honored. Thank you.
So to sum up some of the things that Jim Carrey was saying there, obviously this kind of life happens for you, not to you. And I love the fact that he said, I don't know if that's true. It's like, well, yeah, of course we don't know if that's true. And it's right that we would say, I don't know, but it's definitely more helpful to assume that there is part of something bigger, that there is more meaning to having challenge than just it sucks. You can fail at what you don't want to do, so you might as well do what you do want to do, I think is really important, because that's something that you really only want to learn from someone else. Because you don't want to get to, a ripe old age and realize, oh my God, I had a safe, mediocre career as something I didn't want, only to realize really late that actually it was worth the risk to go and have something to do what I do want to do. You want to learn from somebody else that actually, yeah, you may as well take the risk. You can, the other thing about making decisions from love or fear, I think is really good because it simplifies it. Bruce Lipton says there are only two emotions in the universe, love and fear. And really, there's only one, which is love or lack of love. So there's only love. So you're either making your decisions in love or in a lack of love. And I think if you center yourself and put yourself in that state of, do I love this or do I not love this? Choose what you love and the why. Because it's worth going through things that you don't currently, presently love those challenges if it's for something that you love. It is pointless to go through those challenges if it isn't for what you love. And remember, he also said that, you know, we make decisions out of fear, but we disguise them as practicality. So we disguise them as, well, it's the sensible thing to do. And, you know, well, we've got a mortgage to think about, and we've got all these safe things that we need to think about. And they're all understandable, obviously, because we do it all the time. We do take the safe road. And the purpose of today is to really to help you over that, because that's probably the biggest hurdle, I would say. The shoulds, the musts, the have tos, the being good, you know, the being sensible, the being, you know, doing the right thing, not letting people down, not taking risks. That is what paralyzes most of us from doing what we want to do. It is no wonder to me that men and women at a certain point in their life are described as having, you know, a midlife crisis. What is a midlife crisis if not a moment of reflection that you have not lived your life for you at any point? And I thoroughly recommend that you have your midlife crisis as young as possible, preferably in your 20s, but at least in your 30s. Have it early. Have it before you have children. Have your midlife crisis as early as you can, because the earlier that you have it, the less responsibilities that you have created around yourself to worry about. You know, those safe kind of havens that we have that prevent us from taking risks. And again, you have to weigh up what's the greater risk. Is the risk that you risk financial stability, or, you know, your children's nest egg or whatever it is? Or is it that you risk never living, never following your call to adventure, the risk of regret? Only you can make those kinds of decisions. My job is to help you analyze what decisions you are making by doing nothing, by playing small, by being safe, by being the good person and the good girl or boy that you've been told you need to be. Okay. And the risk for me of my child playing it safe because I did for him, I think that's the bigger risk for me, is that I would rather we take the risk. And I know Tim is is one of those people that has, you know, has absolutely done that, you know, that's been really, really incredibly kind of brave and said, no, I'm gonna do what I want to in life. And that's meaningful, to know that you have passed down to your children, who you want to protect with everything that you have, something that will serve them in their life, which is just live your life for you. Just live it the way you want to. And let me show you how. Let me show you how to take risks. Even if we end up living in a cardboard box, at least I know that you will live your life on your terms. And you certainly wouldn't be in a cardboard box for long. Not if you're on the hero's journey. You wouldn't. You wouldn't, because you wouldn't stay there. You'd answer another call and you'd go for it. And anybody who's seen The Pursuit of Happiness knows that that's the case. And again, remember, you would have your why. You'd have your why. You'd have your reason to do it, to overcome. Very much like Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness, his why is very clear. It's his son. So you can use them as your reason why not, or you can use them as your reason why to do it. And of course, as coaches, most of your coaches, the effect you have on others is your most valuable asset. You already know that you have everything that you need to make a massive difference in the world. Now, just as a quick anecdote about the Life Happens for You, I think this was something very poignant to me. And again, my children are my greatest teachers. And one of the things Rocky likes to do is scare mummy to death. And I think he finds it hilarious, because I do worry about, thanks to my conditioning, I do worry about safety all the time. I do worry. And it's something I'm now becoming completely aware of, that I do notice the risks. I take them, but I do notice. I'm very trained to point out every possible thing that could go wrong. And when he's doing parkour all around the living room, across, you know, glasses on the coffee table, and it doesn't matter how many times we say not to, it just seems to be his greatest passion, so we let him do it. But I remember once he was doing it, and he was really scaring me because he was balancing, you know, like on the edge of the sofa, like, you know, looking like, oh God. And I was thinking, if you fall backwards, there's all these things that you can hit your head on, and oh my God. And it's not like he never falls. Of course he does fall. So it's not like I'm imagining it, right? That there are genuine risks to what he's doing. So I said to him, when he was standing on the edge of the sofa, I was like, oh, like making this sort of guttural, oh. And I said, please get down. Please get down, sweetheart. And he's like, what's wrong, mummy? And I said, I just worry that you're going to hurt yourself. And he said, oh, don't worry about that, mummy. And I said, well, of course I worry, because I'm a mummy. I don't want anything to happen to my babies. And his face, and I'll never forget it, his face went so sad. And he said, but mummy, I want things to happen to me. And I realized I was so focused on not wanting bad things to happen to him that I was stopping anything from happening to him. And that for me was my real wake-up call for him. So now he does parkour all around the living room, and I deal with my I deal with my anxiety, and I just mitigate it by, you know, spotting him when he's doing the really dangerous things, or removing some of the obstacles, because this, remembering that's important to your children. They want things to happen to them. So the question is, what are you afraid of? Why are you refusing to follow your bliss? Why do you hold yourself back? Well, let me go through some of the reasons that you might be. Fear being number one, obviously. Loss of control, loss of comfort, letting people down. That's one of my big ones. The loss of love. You know, people will be cross with you. The loss of face. You know, you'll fail. It'll be embarrassing. People will know that you failed. Sometimes it's lack of belief. So I'm not capable. So I'd love to do that. But how many of you watch other people, perhaps on Instagram or whatever, and they're doing kind of what you want to be doing, but you're like, oh, they just do it so much better. You know, so they seem to know much more about what they're doing than I do. I maybe I shouldn't do that because I'm not brilliant at that. So we watch other people and think, oh, well, we couldn't compete with them, so I won't do it. I'm not powerful enough, or I can't do it by myself. I need someone to help me. There's loads of things that we have about belief. And then there's the doubt, the personal doubt. Oh, I'm not special enough. I'm not sure I want it enough. It's not that important, and other people will do it better than me. Okay, so there's loads of reasons. Anybody got any other ones they put in the chat? Anybody got any interesting ones that you tell yourself? Things you're afraid of? Or I mentioned them all. Yeah. Rejection. I think when I'm, and you can probably feel it, and I think this is the most important thing. I want you to start feeling into those moments in your daily life where you can feel that there is something that you'd rather be doing and you're not doing it. And then in those moments, that's what you have to ask yourself is, why am I doing that? What am I telling myself about that? You know, are you ready to post something on social media and then hold back from doing it? That's the call to adventure right there. Even yesterday when I was, you know, asking Rocky for advice, I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to do this justice. I'm not sure I'm ready. And it's been busy over Christmas. And I'm sure I'm going to do it justice. And I don't want to do anything unless I really believe in it and I'm really happy with it. You know, I don't have enough time to make it perfect. And that was a moment right there. I was like, well, maybe I should cancel it. Maybe I should postpone it. And it was like, oh my God, I'm in it. I'm in that space right now where I'm being called to adventure. There's an adventure happening tomorrow, you know, in yesterday. And I'm thinking about refusing the call because I'm not ready. I'm not going to do a good enough job. I'm a good girl. I do my work. I get my work done. What if it's not perfect? What if people go away not happy? And they're cross with me because they didn't get what they wanted from it. You know, so many of these things, that is exactly what we're talking about. That is when you think, okay, well, but what do I care about more than any of that? Because yes, I could sit there and I could, I didn't have the time yesterday to kind of do any NLP on that, on those fears, right? That you can spend loads of time working on those fears. Of course, you recognize the big patterns of 100%. That's what I want you to think about today. But in that moment, you have to think, well, what do I care about more than any of that that's going to make me answer the call? What do I care about more than any of that? And that's where you start to find what your rapture is, what your passion is. So in the same way as Walter Mitty was like, okay, I have to go to Greenland because I don't want to let Sean down. I don't want to let the magazine down. That this is important to me, my job, my way of doing things. I felt the same way. I'd far more likely to let people down if I didn't do it. And that's when Rocky gave me his advice. Just be uplifting, mummy, just be uplifting. So thank you. So I thought, okay, well, let's simplify it. Even if I'm just uplifting in one aspect, one aha moment, one piece of advice, that was enough to get me to answer the call. And the same can happen for you. So it doesn't have to be that you remove all your doubts, remove all your limitations. There just has to be a reason why to do it despite them. So if you're frightened of rejection, what do you care about more than that makes you do it anyway? And rejection from who? Do those people actually matter? Because we're taught that it does. And actually, the only people that really matter to you, probably you can count them on one hand. And I can't imagine failing would make them reject you. And if it did, you've probably got some big questions to ask yourself there. Yeah. Maybe take a few more off that list. Just stick with a couple. One is enough. One person who sticks with you regardless and accepts you is enough. But if you've got more than that, then you are very wealthy. And those people are the only people that matter in terms of their opinions. So, they've found out. Oh, now look, you're going to love this. So Maya Angelou, beautiful quote. Each time I write a book, every time that I face that yellow pad, the challenge is so great. I've written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. Now, how wonderful to know everybody to some degree has this kind of imposter syndrome. Yeah, and the more successful they are, the more likely they have the fear that they're somehow going to be found out, going to be in trouble. They haven't got permission to do it, haven't got the qualifications to do it. Who am I to do all of this? Well, who are you not to? How dare you keep your gifts, your magnificence from everybody? Let us be the judge of whether it's useful to us or not. And it won't be useful to everybody. There are billions of people on the planet. But the chances are, even if it's useful to one, then it's worth doing. Okay. And if that one person is you, it's worth doing. So in the past, all my meditations, everything that I've ever written, I've written for me. Always. Because I know that I'm guaranteed at least one person who loves it. And that's enough. And then if you share it from there and other people love it, well, then I'm thrilled. But I do everything to please myself first and then share it. I did this to please myself too. You'll be glad to know. I did this very much to please myself. It was something I wanted to do. I wanted to spend time thinking about the hero's journey. And if it benefits other people, then I'm thrilled. Fear of making a fool of myself. Yeah, but I've done it anyway. Got a massive boost by the response. Great. Oh, if we're not making fools of ourselves, we're doing it wrong. Because if you're taking this seriously, you've got it all wrong. the whole idea about life is it's such a silly thing. It's such a silly thing what we get ourselves fixed to, you know, with our identities and who we are and who we're not supposed to be. It's so silly. And of course, you're in it, so you don't see it. It's only later when you look back that you realize, God, I can't believe I cared about that. You know, there's so many times that I've experienced, you know, in my early years, I was so self-conscious because I was bullied for my weight. I was so self-conscious, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't eat in front of people. You know, I refused to do anything. I remember the brownie trip that I refused to go on because they had to wear these little shorts. And I was like, no, because I'll get bullied. If I wear shorts and, you know, this tight fitting t-shirt where my tummy sticks out of, I will get bullied. So I'm not going. And I really wanted to go. They were going to do all these fun things and I didn't go because I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't want to be bullied. And now, of course, and I think about that and I think, well, screw them. I would have had that experience. I would have had, you know, the experience, which is ultimately everything that we have anyway. I would have felt what it felt like to climb that, you know, that hill, or to play in the sea or whatever it was that they were doing. And maybe I would have found some friends. Who knows? So many times I've prevented myself from having experiences because I didn't want to be embarrassed, or I didn't want to be bullied or rejected or criticized. And just remember, the only people that ever criticize you are deeply unhappy people who won't do. I mean, imagine living in a world where you're so critical of other people that must turn back on you at some point, that you must live in your own prison of criticism. You know, that if you're judging everybody else, it's very unlikely that your life is perfect. And that you're living in this kind of, oh, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that, and oh God, that's rubbish. But what are you doing? Because imagine how terrified that person would be to do anything. Because if they're projecting onto the world that that's how everybody thinks. And it's not how everybody thinks. Most people are too busy with their own concerns. And how wonderful when, you know, the dance, like no one's watching, you know, the guy that's the video of the guy that just dances in the middle of the field and then suddenly everybody's dancing, you know, like, be that guy. You know, don't take it seriously. It's not, it feels serious in the minute. It won't feel serious when you're older and you're wishing that you'd had those experiences. And I remember the saddest thing ever, which was when my dad was too poorly. He'd lived his whole life, you know, like, I'm not giving my credit card to Amazon because, you know, people will steal my money. That kind of thing. I'm not going on a plane because planes crash. Okay, but your stepson is getting married in America, so you're not going to go to his wedding. No, because planes crash. So he lived his whole life afraid to do anything, hence why I'm quite proud of myself. The only thing I worry about is my child falling off the back of the sofa, given my conditioning. So he wouldn't do anything. He never went abroad. He never did anything dangerous, anything with any kind of risk. He was the quintessential, you know, safe in my little hole, my little rabbit hutch. And the saddest thing ever was listening to him in his kind of last few months say he watches these programs, you know, the Attenboroughs and of the world. And he says, I realize I'll never see any of that now. Now I want to. And he'll never see any of it. And he never did. Never saw anything. Never walked through a jungle. Never sat on an ocean, you know, on a beach in an ocean. Never. Other than, you know, I don't think Devon. I don't think he did it in Devon once. This is, you know, what kind of life is that? A safe, good, you know, good person, good, you know, good job, a safe life. But what did he teach us? You know, his children, you know. So saddest thing I ever heard was, I'll never do any of that now. Because he wanted to, he was too sick to do it. So another one for you, those of you that are worried about being found out. Even Einstein, the exaggerated esteem in which my life work is held makes me very ill at ease. I feel compelled to think of myself as an involuntary swindler. How lovely. And I don't even care if he said that or not. I think that's lovely. I can imagine him saying that. All right. So what are you afraid of? So everything that you're afraid of, identify it, label it, shine a torch onto it. Because it's the silent voices that you react to without thinking about. Those are the most dangerous because you're not even aware that that's what's holding you back. So shine a torch, go, I see you. I see you in there. Yes, I see you conditioning. I see you. And I refuse to take you seriously. Even if it feels serious, I refused. And there is something I care about more than you. More than being a good girl or boy, more than being safe, more than being doing the right thing, more than doing your shoulds, more than deserving it by hard working. There's something you care about more than that. And for you to know what that is, that's the most important thing. Okay. All right. Well, let's do some visualizations now. And I want to help you to identify some of the parts of yourself that have the resources that you need, and to be able to share those resources with the rest of you that need them. So we're going to do some visualization now. All right, so close your eyes for a moment. And I invite you to imagine, just imagine, that you went to bed last night, and instead of waking up in your bed this morning, you found yourself floating above the earth, in space, comfortable and safe. As you turn around, you realize that you're floating halfway between Earth and the beyond. And as you look at the Earth, this blue-green, beautiful globe, feel how great it feels for a moment to have left behind all that was tiring, painful, hurtful, fearful, the struggle, the doubt. Right now, you're floating free, unlimited again. Feeling the energy at your fingertips, aware of your true self as an ethereal being. Expand your awareness to the very edges of yourself and realize how expansive you are, how limitless you are. And as you take a moment to enjoy that, floating there, become aware that another ethereal being is moving towards you, a guide. And the guide speaks. I've summoned you here as it appears that you need some help. You've done so well all these years by yourself. You have overcome so much, and we've been loving you and willing you on every step of the way, as they gesture to the other ethereal beings that join them. But we can see that you're in need of a little extra guidance. We know that you don't usually ask for help, but we see you searching for answers, and we want to help you. Let me cast your mind back to a time before you started your earthly life. You won't remember, but once we floated here above Earth in this same space. I showed you a vision of a beautiful planet, and we discussed the kinds of life you would choose and the kinds of challenges you would have. And back then, you were eager to get started. But you've become weary and forgotten your magnificence. You've forgotten your reason. So let me remind you. Now, staying in that space, either you can open your eyes and watch this advert with me, or you can just listen. Nestled in a distant corner of the universe, the Earth awaits. We offer you an adventure like no other. Experience this planet's landscapes, unforgettable mountains, valleys, waterfalls, its awe-inspiring skies. Experience the ocean. You'll be given a body to live in so you can move around and feel every detail of the experience. You'll begin as a baby with no memory of the before, guided by caregivers who will condition you for the first 7 years with all the limiting beliefs and experiences required for your hero's journey and the challenge level you've chosen. Your hero's journey may include travelling this incredible globe and seeing the cities and cultures it offers. We advise savouring every flavour, smell and taste while you're there. Connect with Earth's animals, also on their hero's journey. Experience the unconditional love from a pet. You may choose to fall in love, find a partner, to marry, and even create your own children so that other souls can experience a hero's journey through you. Maybe you or they will change the world. Whether you've created wealth, art or children, your memories of your experience on Earth will be the only souvenir of your journey when you return to us. So we advise collecting as many as you can while you can. Earth, what life will you choose? So as you close your eyes again and find yourself floating in space, your guide continues to speak. Now you chose a level 5 life. And in the first 7 years of your life, we ensured you would be conditioned with the requisite limiting beliefs and experiences that would create the kind of hero's journey you wanted to experience. You pre-selected gifts and talents and a preference for a particular type of purpose that you wanted to follow, which you would find by following your joy, your bliss. And of course, you'd have to overcome those obstacles along the way to complete your journey. But I fear our conditioning may have been a little too effective, as we've watched you play it safe for too long now. The path is right there, but you're hiding from it. And for some reason, you've stopped trusting that joyful experiences will lead to good things. Somewhere along the line, you've started believing that joy is frivolous, and only hard work and stress will result in a safe life or a life well lived. You've chosen a safe life over a happy and fulfilling one. Now, I'm not allowed to give you the answers, but I am allowed to help you get back on track. I am allowed to interfere. Well, I'm not, but you are. On the screen in front of you, imagine a montage of your present day self begins to play, and you watch yourself getting out of bed, going through your daily habits, and going back to bed again. And watch this for a week or so, until you get a sense of what your present day self and their life looks like. And the guide asks you, what do you notice about who you are in the present day? Who are you not being that you want to be? What aren't you doing that you want to do? What don't you have that you want to have? What don't you feel that you want to feel? What are you being called to experience that you're hiding from? What are you resisting? And what is holding you back? If it's fear, fear of what? What have you been telling yourself is so important that it keeps you from experiencing your magnificence? What is so frightening about your magnificence? And as you reflect on those concepts, get a sense of what the answers might be inside of you. You can feel what the block is, what the resistance is. And really focus in on the big one, the main one. And now it's time to reflect on your past self and what might have created that block. So watch your life from the beginning, your birth, the first few years, learning to walk, ride a bike, play with friends, your home life, any siblings, the fun that you had, school perhaps, birthday parties, family, exams, the teenage years, leaving school, choosing a path, leaving home, forging a life, hobbies, sports, your independence, your failures, your triumphs, meeting new people, partners, achievements, a career. Perhaps consider a time where you were hot on the trail for something, but you didn't get it. And remember what stopped you. What was the block that stopped you, even though you were hot on the trail for it? What purpose was served by the block? What did you avoid by not going for it? And as you consider a time in your life that sums up that part of you that is still frightened, that is still playing it small, imagine that version of you can come out of the screen and float in front of you. The version of you with that block, that embodies that block. And we'll call that your past self. On the screen, now a montage of scenes from your life begin to play, but you're reminded of the best experiences of your life. The friendships, falling in love, traveling, adventures, achievements, the experiences, the waves on the shore, the smell of bread baking, your moments of bliss, however simple, however small, however brief, but your moments of bliss, resilience, joy, magnificence, those moments that shine through, those ecstatic moments. Even finding just one. Notice there has been the light of magnificence and joy shining through the clouds the whole time. That version of you is there. That version of you that can identify joy, bliss, rapture, ecstasy in this lifetime. And it is unique to you. That version of you. Notice how you look when you're following your bliss, when you're enjoying yourself, how you stand, how you move, how your life looks when you're doing that. Doors opening, journey unfolding when you're on the right path. And imagine that version of you steps out of the screen and floats in front of you. So now in front of you, you have the version of you that is blocked, the conditioned version of you, and the version of you that is magnificent, the version of you that follows your bliss, that recognizes what that bliss is. Notice how they stand, how they're dressed, what they sound like. Notice whether they're standing on your left or your right. One of them will be standing close to you on your left, and one of them will be standing close to you on your right. Now it's time to upgrade the version of you with the block. Notice one of the characteristics of the magnificent version of you that the resistant version of you admires. Recognize it. Is it their energy, their confidence? Choose one characteristic of the magnificent version of you that the resistant version of you admires. Feel that characteristic inside your own body right now as you identify with it, and share it in any way that you like with the resistant version. Whether it's you put your hand out to touch them, or whether the magnificent version of you shares it with them. But connect now and share that characteristic with the resistant version so that they also now have access to it. Good. And watch how they change as they receive it. If it's more energy, notice how they start to shift with more energy, if it's more confidence, and so on. But importantly, now notice what characteristic of the resistant version of you the magnificent version admires, because there will be one. Notice what that is. Their steadfastness, perhaps. Their willingness to do good. Notice one of those traits that the magnificent version admires and share it now with the magnificent version. However you'd like to do that. Identifying it with it in your own body and then sharing it with the magnificent version. That's it. And watch how the magnificent version adjusts now that it has also that wonderful characteristic. Now we're going to repeat this a few times with other characteristics. You can work faster than me if you want to, but right now let's do the magnificent version again. So notice another characteristic of the magnificent version that the resistant version admires. And share it, identify with it in your own body and share it in any way that you like with the resistant version, and watch how they begin to change as they receive it, as they upgrade and feel that characteristic and the access to it. Good. I'll go slightly faster. And now again, the resistant version, identify a characteristic that the magnificent version admires about the resistant version of you. Identify it into your own body, that positive trait, and share it with the magnificent version. So now you have access to it, and your magnificent self has access to it too. And watch as your magnificent self upgrades even further. And your resistant self upgrades even further. All right. Now, another trait of the resistant version that you admire, and share it with the magnificent version. Watch as they upgrade. And then another trait of the magnificent version of you, identify it in your body and share it with the resistant version. And watch them upgrade. And another characteristic of the resistant version, identify a positive trait, share it with the magnificent version. Watch them upgrade. Watch them change. And another characteristic of the magnificent version, identify with it and share it with the resistant version. And continue this process now almost effortlessly and unconsciously, sharing resources, sharing characteristics, beneficial characteristics. And as you do, notice that the magnificent version and the resistant version are starting to look more and more like each other. And have them walk towards each other, putting their hands out in front of each other, and watch the electricity between them as all positive traits are shared between them and they merge together, upgrading into one incredible, magnificent, awe-inspiring version of you. And that version of you walks towards you, and you can feel the electricity. You can feel the static electricity as they move towards you, and how it feels as they begin to merge back into you and upgrade you in the wholeness of you, so that the wholeness of you has access to everything that you need. Those old fears, those old limiting beliefs, being able to see past them, through them, and disappearing, reframing, as you realise a way forward, as you realise what's more important. The answer was inside of you all along. And consider now, as you think about your present day self, what's different when you think about the call that you've been refusing. How does it feel different now? Noticing what is more important than anything else. What is more important than anything else? And then take a deep breath, finding yourself floating again with your guide, but upgraded, staring at the earth below you. And your guide gives you one more piece of advice. After your earthly journey, you will be asked by souls that never got to experience Earth what it was like. And they will want to know every detail, every single detail of your experience, because they may never have it for themselves. Make sure you can describe it in exquisite detail. Notice pick a moment from your life, a stressful moment, and feel it. Feel it like you chose it. And think to yourself, okay, let me label this experience. This stressful experience, what is it called? What is this experience? So when I'm describing it to somebody, I'll be sure to get it right. So this experience is fear of failure, fear of rejection. This is what it feels like. And expand your awareness all the way through it, savouring every detail like you chose to have that experience. To find out, to discover what it was like to have that experience for yourself. Discomfort, displeasure. Expand your awareness. Remember every single detail of it. Label it and think to yourself, okay, this is what that feels like. Okay, I've had that experience now. I don't need to have it again. Have it properly. Have it like you chose it. Have it like a traveller. Have it like an explorer, an adventurer who went on a journey to be able to tell people about their adventures when they finished it. Savour it. Now the guide asks you to look at Earth below you and gives you the choice about how you return to Earth. Because it is a choice. So consider returning to Earth now, but differently, and how different you will be when you return. Live life deliberately, following your bliss, not worrying about the purpose of why you're here, but just knowing that you are supposed to be joyful, that you're supposed to enjoy it. Life happens for you, not to you. The universe is conspiring to help you. There is a path. There is a path. And your joy tells you where it is and how to get back on it. You can make decisions from love or fear. Choose love and faith. Your unique bliss is unique to you for a reason. If the thought feels bad, it's the wrong thought. It's conditioning, and you are supposed to overcome your conditioning. That's the point. That's the adventure. So when you return to Earth, do it like you chose to. Like all those years ago, floating, deciding what kind of adventure you wanted to experience. You're having it. You're having the adventure you asked for. Savor every second of it. You get to live on the most incredible planet in the universe. You get to have a body that feels. Enjoy it. Use it. Go explore. Follow your bliss. That's what you were programmed with, so you'd know where to go. If it feels bad, it's the wrong thought. Feels bad, it's the wrong thought. Choose a better one. Refuse to bow down to your conditioning. Have faith. Take the risk. Live like you chose to. Like you're doing it on purpose. Fearlessly. Because what a story it will make. And only when you're ready, float down to Earth and step into your greatness, your magnificence. Go be a human being. Go experience life. Do it now. Big brain. Come back to the room. It'll be magnificent. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your journey with me. Thank you very much.
I feel like I want to clap. Was in like a auditorium, you'd get a standing ovation.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
More than welcome.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thanks, Jess. I feel like, wow.
Good. I hope it was worth your Saturday morning. And well, like Jim Carrey says, no, hope is the beggar. I trust. I trust it was worth your morning. And thank you for sharing it with me. I enjoyed it. Very selfishly, I chose joy and enjoyed the hell out of it. So I hope you did too. And yeah, I'll send the recording so you can enjoy it again anytime you need a reminder. Thanks, everybody. Have a lovely day. I'll leave the advert playing for you so that you can be reminded of what you signed up for. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jess.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a
Thanks,
lovely
Jess.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
We offer you an adventure like no other.